What's up, hybrids? Welcome back to another episode of the Phantom Hybrid Podcast. This is Hanako, and I'm here with Anthony, and we are discussing the season 2 finale of The Last of Us. I knew it was coming. I knew it was going to happen. I still was not expecting it. Jesse is dead. I just,
Jesse's dead.
I, you know, I knew it
Jesse's
was
dead.
coming. I knew it was coming because we talked about it. We were like, either Dina's gonna die, Jesse's gonna die, both of them are gonna die, but at least one of them is gonna die. I wasn't expecting it to come the way that it did. Like, I literally jumped in my seat when it happened.
I have one little problem, one little nitpick.
Mm-hmm.
You barged into a room not knowing the situation.
Yeah, I was, yeah. I mean, you heard that there was a struggle, so you
Yeah,
knew that there was something going on. And I,
yeah.
I thought about that when they was running. I was like, wait, what do you? I was like,
You don't
oh,
even know what's going on.
no.
Can
You
you?
don't know how many people are in there. Nothing.
Nothing. Just crack the door, see what's happening.
Right. Right. I just,
How should you get in? The doors are barricaded.
but you know what?
I
That's
have
their
questions.
city. So she may know of another way to get in there. That's her city. We talked about the fact that they were in that place and nobody's come looking, no one's come checking. They have the place lit up, which we talked about. They've got the lights on. So it's obvious that somebody's been in that place. And then because of the fact that when Ellie came back, it was raining, she may have left a trail. She may have left a trail of footprints. I I don't know. I mean,
I
it's
have questions. I have
it's
questions.
possible she probably knocked on the door. Help! I don't know. I mean, but yeah, I was expecting it, not expecting it the way it was. She didn't have to shoot him in the face, but
She
I mean,
didn't
it's
even
not.
do center of mass. He barged to the door and she shot. Like she didn't even know
Yeah,
what was
yeah.
coming.
But here's the crazy thing: because if Ellie had been first, she would have missed
Yeah.
because Jesse's so much taller than
Tar.
Ellie. And I was sitting here looking at this scene, and I was like, there's so many different ways they could have approached that. One, Jesse could have, like you said, they could have taken it slow. They could have tried to assess the situation. Um, because she didn't even have to know that they were in there. She didn't know.
Mm-mm. Tom wouldn't have told her.
Tommy wouldn't have told her.
Mm-mm.
And when Jesse got shot and Ellie kind of ducked up under the thing, I think, I'm saying this thinking that okay, Ellie would have been emotionally closed off. She could have like maybe reached up and shot her, but she literally just had this bonding moment with Jesse where they seem to have kind of put all of the anger and stuff maybe behind them or maybe just pushed it to the side for a minute. And then now he's dead after you've already made the decision. Okay, we're just gonna go home. We're gonna do fuck all this. I have to make peace with the fact that Abby still gets to live and blah blah blah. And then he's dead. And I think at that point Ellie was just kind of like, I'm done. I'm so done. I'm done because uh there's so much there's so much going on with this, but I had to get that out because I'm like I I knew it was coming. I just wasn't expecting the way that it happened and the unexpected violence with it. Like I kind of figured it would go down something like the way the Seraphites do it, or maybe it would have been a face off, but just yeah. Anyway,
Almost like random and senseless.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Because even Abby didn't know who was coming through that door. It could have been one of her people.
It could have been, but and she didn't. I don't even think she knew that Tommy was there with other people because she thought Tommy was the one that killed Owen and Mel.
Yeah. He killed all my friends.
He killed my friends. And
She's like, I killed
no,
him.
actually, I did that. But okay. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's talk about when Jesse was alive. Because we got a lot of him in this episode, which should have told me that he was probably going to die. Because we got a lot of story and background and exposition with him and Ellie's characters, and we got to see kind of the different ways that they approach their situations. And also, we see that Jesse is very observant. Jesse is also very mature, and Jesse also, he knows how to kind of compartmentalize things and say, okay, look, we're not going to talk about this, we can do this, we can do that. You get a lot of Jesse in this episode, which should have told me that he was not going to make it. It should have told me that he was not going to make it.
I like how he's very self-aware, and even he knows that he's supposed to be leader of Jackson one day. Like, not just on the council. He's like, yeah, I'm going to be the leader.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Ellie said that a few episodes ago. She was like, yeah, we know you're going to be the one to take over eventually.
Yeah.
Which now he's not, but
no, he's not.
Yeah. But I the self-aware thing is something that I think we really don't see too much in people his age, because he's only 25.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times people that age, they're still trying to find themselves, they're still exploring things, they're still a lot of times still out doing stupid stuff because they're at an age where they can do the stupid stuff and it not have many long-term consequences. Jesse is completely not like that. He totally understood what was going on with Ellie and Dina probably before they did. And even when Dina is trying to come to him, she was like, look, I don't know what to say about what's going on with us. He was like, look, I love her, but I don't love her the way you love her. Like, I can see that. And she's just looking at him like, again, she thought she was hiding it well. No, you weren't, Ellie. You weren't. It was obvious. But I like the fact that he's self-aware of that. And he didn't try to make her feel bad about it. Because he really could have. He could have made that whole situation very uncomfortable for all of them. But he had the mindset to say, okay, you know what? I know that they feel this way about them. And I know that I don't feel this way about her, even though, yes, I care about her. And oh, yeah, by the way, I noticed certain things. I know she's pregnant. He was like, Dina, who has never turned down a free drink ever in her life, tells me no to alcohol when I'm about to push an arrow through her leg. Yeah, I already know this.
But he still was kind of guessing. I think he figured, but he just needed her to confirm it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was like, you were guessing? Shit. Like, yeah, I like how with the seriousness of the episode, they still injected a little bit of humor, not enough to be inappropriate, but enough to kind of say, okay, you know what? Let's lighten this moment just a little bit, because there's so much heaviness going on with this episode. With, at the beginning of the episode, you have Jesse and Dina, because she has the arrow in her leg, he's trying to push it out. They're having a conversation, and it's like she's trying to be assertive, but at the same time, she's not sure how to handle this situation. Because when she left, they were still kind of sort of messing around. And now all of a sudden, she finds herself kind of sort of in a relationship with Ellie. And also, she's now made this discovery that she's pregnant with his baby, and she doesn't know how to tell him. And it was very awkward. But at the same time, it was done very matter of fact on both of their parts. He's like, hey, I just need to get this through. This is going to hurt, blah, blah, blah. And she's, saying the same things. And it's a lot. And then, of course, Ellie comes in and she's not paying Jesse any attention. She wants to go make sure that Dina is okay. So she does. Dina realizes she has blood on her back, tells her to take her shirt off, and you can tell, like, you can see she's got bruising, like she's been hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see the bruising, you can see scratches, and I know some of that is probably from the clickers. Some of
Mm-hmm.
that is probably
And
because I can't remember if she
the
and Nora.
stalkers,
Hmm?
the stalkers,
Oh,
the
yeah,
stalkers. Yeah.
the stalkers. Um, I can't remember. I don't think she and Nora actually got into like a physical altercation because they were kind of standing far from each other.
Yeah. She just threw
Yeah,
the chemicals on her,
yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever it was,
yeah.
and ran. Did she jump down the elevator shaft? I know Nora did.
Nora did, and then well, she jumped on the elevator, and then the elevator fell. So I think she did fall
Okay.
on the elevator. So she does have the bruises and everything, and as Dina is trying to tend to it, she's asking her, "So, are you going to tell me what happened?" And let me say, the very cold and detached way that she described her encounter with Nora to Dina, it was it was kind of uncomfortable to see because again you do realize just how far gone she was at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
But also again I'm going to say I like being right because she said that she did not kill Nora, she left her. She was like, yeah, she's dead anyway, so just and she says it again later on when she confronts Owen and Mel. She was like, I'm not like you guys, but you ain't too far off.
You're not far from it. I think this is still part of the breaking that cycle of violence
Mm-hmm.
from Joel,
Yeah,
because Joel would have killed her,
yeah,
you know. And I think it's the part of her that's trying not to be like Joel.
yeah. But I think also too, again, like I said, I feel like her leaving her alive was the worst fate because
Well, it is.
because for what you did to her, you basically beat the shit out of her, probably broke both of her legs, probably broke some lungs. So if you'd have killed her, you'd have put her out of her misery. And I don't think Ellie had that in mind. Ellie was like, oh no, I'm gonna make you suffer. So you've already been infected, and now I'm gonna leave you down here infected and half broken. That's gonna
Mm-hmm.
be your punishment. But then when Dina was like, she got what she deserved, and Ellie said, but did she? And then she turns around and she tells Dina the truth about why they're there. You know, yeah, Joel, what did she say before I came to Jackson? There was a hospital in Salt Lake City. They were going to make a cure out of me, but it would have meant that I would have died. And when Joel found that out, he killed everybody.
Everybody.
Everybody in the entire hospital, including the doctor who was Abby's father. He did it all to save me. And Dina's reaction, I think, like I know she was shocked, and you could kind of see her disconnect a little bit just in the way that she her facial expression changed because it was something that she needed to kind of um
Well, she had to process it.
she had to process it. And then she was like, we need to go home. And I understand her reaction, but I also feel like her reaction wasn't fair to Ellie
Well, it's
because
not even consistent to Dora's character.
to her character, and not only
Because
just her
she
character,
literally
but
just
what she
told
said.
her,
Yeah,
right? She literally just told her it didn't matter what he did.
it didn't matter what that person
Right.
did. If someone killed my family, I don't care what they did to deserve it, or I don't care what they did to bring that out on. I would have chased them down forever.
Yeah.
And then for you to turn around and have that reaction, Joel literally did what you said you would do. Joe was protecting her, and now she is doing the same. Ellie is doing the same thing. Like, oh, I know he did wrong, but that doesn't make what they did to him right. And now I gotta go. I gotta go. I fix it is not the word, but I'm on a revenge. warpath.
Yeah, but this is one of the problems with the show, the internal consistency. Because as a writer, you might as well have not had Dina Dora have that conversation with her, because this reaction would make sense if you never had that conversation where it didn't matter what he didn't deserve that. This is what happened to my family. I would have hunted that person down too. I mean, it's literally the same thing.
So I kind of feel like one of the reasons why they did do that, I think for a lot of us, saying one thing and believing one thing is a thing. But when you're actually faced with the reality of something kind of proving that statement, and you're having to deal and process with the reality of what that situation is, I think we realized that maybe that's not exactly how we felt. And I think that's kind of illustrating that, like, yeah, Dina could say, okay, yeah, I don't care what he did. He didn't deserve that. Blah, 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 blah. I would have chased him down. I would have hunted him down forever. And I would have done this. I would have done that. Yeah, we can go and hunt her out. I'm with you. I can go, kill her with you. And then when you find out, okay, so what really happened is he actually did do something that could be considered worthy of the revenge that Abby took, and yet I'm bringing you on this journey to go get revenge on her and possibly putting us in danger because of that. That might give someone pause to be like, okay, do I really feel this way? Because it's
I don't
one
know.
thing to
She seemed
say,
like she did because she said it very passionately.
yeah,
And Ellie was giving her an out to say, you know what? We don't have to do this. We can go back. And
yeah,
she convinced Ellie to continue.
yeah, and I get that, and I agree with you, but I'm just wondering if they're doing it to kind of show, like, again, the complexity of having these
No,
emotions.
no, no, no. We're
Am
not
I
going to
giving
give
the
them.
writers
You're
too
giving
much
them too
credit?
much credit.
Okay, okay,
Too much
okay,
credit.
okay,
Too much credit. They messed up
okay.
because they wanted the story to be a certain way. They wanted to give they wanted to give Dora a little bit more depth and a
Mhm.
reason for continuing.
Yeah, because I also feel this way. When she made that statement to Ellie, when she said, "I don't care what my family member would have done to them," again, I have a feeling like she knew that whatever it was that happened, that they came for Joel for a reason. Because again, you don't just randomly inflict that kind of harm and violence on somebody
Right,
that's not personal. If it
right.
was just a random person, one, they wouldn't have left Dina alive. If this was just somebody who just wanted that kind of violence, that kind of whatever, somebody who might have been, let's say, a serial killer or someone who had that kind of just random violent nature, that's one thing. But they did this to him and left you alive and was compassionate enough, considerate enough, whatever, to say, hey, okay, we're just going to knock you out so you don't have to witness this, but this is about to happen. She knew that was something personal. I think
Mm-hmm.
maybe she could have been trying to see if Ellie knew when she made that statement, like if Ellie was going to say something, because you saw Ellie's face when she said it. Ellie was like, well, and she just didn't say anything at that time.
The whole problem I have with this discussion, not
Mm-hmm.
you and me, but this discussion in general, is that it's easy to it's easy to say, well, Abby came after him because he killed her father,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
No, it was actually a father saving the life of his daughter. He didn't kill all those people out of malice or
Right.
out of spite. He
Right.
killed them to save Ellie.
Mm-hmm.
And if Dora can't get that part that he wasn't trying to kill Abby's father out of
Yeah.
meanness or
Mm-hmm.
spite
Yeah,
or
you're right.
malice.
You're
He
right.
literally asked him to let her go,
Yeah, he did.
right? Because he didn't kill the nurses, did he? Did he?
No, no.
No. If her father had have let Ellie up, he probably would still be alive.
Could, yeah.
But he said no, and he came at him with a knife. So you're dead. The nurses didn't come after him with a knife.
Mm-mm.
No.
No.
So I know this. I'm doing. I'm trying. I'm filling in a lot of gaps. I don't want to say gaps, but I'm adding a lot of additional stuff, which that's what you would have to do to make up for Dora's change in her position. Because Dora was very passionate about it didn't matter what he did.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on this ride with you.
Yeah.
So you want to go or not? So as far as we know, that was Dora's position.
Her name is Dina.
Dora. So now Dora knows, okay, so Abby had a reason. Abby always had a reason, and you knew this already.
Yeah.
Whatever Abby's reason was, you knew it was personal. So it shouldn't matter whether or not he killed her father or not. You didn't even know now you know the circumstances.
Yeah.
But why would you change your mind? Like, why would you all of a sudden be different now?
Right.
Because it doesn't change the circumstances.
Right. Because if you were in that position and you had to go and save Ellie, would you, as her best friend or as her love interest or as whatever, would you go and do it? Yeah, you probably would have done
and
it.
You would. Right. Yeah. Jesse would, and if you were on that table, Jesse would have done the same thing to save you. Yeah. So that's the one thing. That's something that we kind of want to have. We want characters to have a consistency of character. Yeah. Consistency in their internal decisions. That should not have been enough information to make her change her position.
Yeah.
Because you still have to process the fact that she just told you the procedure was going to kill me. And when he found out,
he was like, nope. Me. Yeah.
Right. It's as simple as that. That's not enough for you to all of a sudden be like, well, I guess I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. That's not what you said yesterday.
Yeah, right. And I don't know. I guess maybe, I don't know. Maybe she's upset about the fact that Ellie didn't tell her from jump. Because she did ask the question. She was like, did you know who they were? And Ellie was like, no, I didn't know at the time, but I knew what he did. But even that, I feel like
it's still not enough because she'd be like, I just found out the night before he got killed.
Yeah, that's what I was
tell nobody.
Like, we literally just had this conversation. He just confirmed for me what happened. And then
you and Dora were not. And you and Dora were not in a relationship. And does that change anything really? No. Because Ellie was still gonna go. Right. The only difference would have been you wouldn't have went with her. I mean, let's have some consistency of character. Yeah. That's all. Yeah. That was one of the other things I had a problem with. Yeah. Everything else was fine. But the fact that she was just so easy, like, yeah, we should go home. Really? Oh, now. Because you were pregnant yesterday when you said, let's keep going. Yeah. You're right. You might die too. You're right. But you know what? I will say this too. Things could have changed for her because of the fact that Jesse and Tommy are now there. Maybe she was like, okay, if it's just us, but now we're putting up, now other people are being put in danger. Yes, I know I'm giving the writers more credit than they deserve. Now you definitely giving more credit.
I'm just looking at things from all different angles. You know, now your baby daddy is here. Now Tommy is here. They've come to get you out of this. And then not only this, you walked into a whole other war that you had no idea was going on and is dangerous. So I don't know. Maybe she
she knew about that already too, because they stumbled in the building with all the people hanging up with the guts out.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they didn't know that when they left. You know, when she left and she was with when she was
but
with
they've
Ellie,
known since they've been in Seattle, they've known that there was an issue between those two groups.
Yeah. But I'm trying to think. She didn't know about the hanging stuff when she made that speech. So
when
maybe
they found all the bodies and dead children.
Yeah,
There should have been enough information right there that this is a situation that might be a little volatile, maybe a little bit. They kill the children.
Yeah, yeah. So I, I don't know, but
Moving on,
moving on.
because Dora got some problems. She needed to consult Boots or something.
But anyway, Dora can't do anything because she has a hole in her leg. So she has to stay at the theater while Ellie and Jesse go to look for Tommy. And this is again the start of the kind of, I don't know, friendship redemption tour between Jesse and Ellie, because they do have a lot of conversations about certain things, and they do kind of go at it, because Jesse does have this, I guess he does have this attitude of this viewpoint of himself that in a sense he's better than Ellie. He does look at Ellie as being reckless, as being selfish, as, you know, only
She
thinking
is.
about herself, which I
She
mean,
does.
yes, she is, but at the same time, I feel like she's not as well. She's doing this for someone else. Granted, is part of, you know, it's a big part for her, but she's also doing it because what happened to him she felt like wasn't fair. You know, it doesn't make it right, but I don't think it's completely selfish. Just like I didn't think it was completely selfish when he killed everybody he killed in the hospital. Yes, it was for
Mhm.
him, like, I don't want to lose another daughter, but at the same time he was doing it to save her. And granted,
Yeah,
it's too late to save him here, but at least, you know, I don't know.
we can argue about the selfish part, but we're not gonna argue about the reckless part because she is
No,
reckless.
she is reckless. I will give her
And I
that.
think that might be Jesse's main problem with
Yeah.
her
She
is
is.
you can be selfish, but you don't have to be reckless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, there was a question that you raised in the last episode when we got to see the flashbacks of Joel and Ellie, and we were talking about the different skills that he didn't teach her. And I thought about it when she first approached him with wanting to go on patrol for her. I think it was her 16th birthday or her 15th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
He literally said to her, use this chance to enjoy being a kid. I don't think he taught her some of that stuff because he wanted to give her a chance at being just normal for a little while. Because again, this is someone who has grown up always thinking that she was going to have to be the savior of the world. She was going to have to do this. She didn't get those regular experiences,
One,
even being brought up as a soldier. Now,
one,
wait,
one of the
wait,
wait.
wait, wait, wait. He went to go get her on her 19th birthday and was like, okay, well, this is a good time for us to start. And then he took her out on patrol. He was trying to show her the ropes, and then all the shit with Eugene happened, and then their big blow up. And then they didn't talk for 9 months. So I don't think it was that
Okay.
he didn't.
Two two things. Two
Mm-hmm,
things.
mm-hmm,
One, teaching someone how to do a patrol in this situation
mm-hmm,
is a different skill set than going across the country in survival mode.
mm-hmm,
And it's just the two of you.
mm-hmm,
Right. So my statements was about the things that her, because at the time she wasn't a child. She wasn't a daughter figure or a
mm-hmm,
surrogate daughter for him. At the time she was cargo that he
mm-hmm,
needed to get someplace.
mm-hmm,
He's the type of person he's going to make use of this extra pair of eyes. So there are things that he would have taught her how to do, how to be stealthy, how to scout ahead in places where he couldn't go,
yeah, and he
how to
did
read it,
that. He
how to
wouldn't
read a
have.
map. Those are the things that he would have taught her on the way. And those are the skills that this version of Ellie is lacking. But I'm
No,
telling you that
I think she knows that stuff, but there
she couldn't
the more,
triangulate. She didn't know how to triangulate
that's
anything on.
something, I think that's something a little more complex, and something he may not have thought to teach her, because on their way back, and I mean, we talked about this the first season, they had no opposition or anything blocking them on the way to or on the way from. Not that we've seen. So there, I don't think it
But I
would.
would think after the situations they were in, like in Philadelphia, and then later, that he would have been like, you know what, I need to prepare this person if we have these situations again.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying?
I don't
Teaching
know.
her how to shoot,
Mm-hmm.
right? That was something that he was taught her on the way.
Mm-hmm.
So there, I'm just saying, there are without. I'm trying to look at this from perspective and not the game. I'm just trying to think of it in a reality type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at it from all angles, which is your thing.
Yeah.
There's she was old enough. She already had training with guns and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't have had to fill in that much more for them to be in a survival mode. Yeah, there were going to be gaps where they didn't run into anything, but I refuse to believe they had to stop in places to get supplies.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't have enough food and stuff to make it all the way on their own.
Yeah.
So they had to go and scout buildings and kill clickers, looking for food, looking for supplies, finding a place to sleep at night because you can't always sleep outside
Yeah.
based on the weather. So I'm just saying this version of Ellie seems, if you just go back to that moment when Dora walks in there in the garage and is like, where are you going to go? You don't even have on the right shoes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Do you even know how you're going to get there? You can't even read a map. All these things that she's saying is things that would have been basic that she would have learned on the way
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
to Salt Lake City from Boston or wherever they were.
Yeah.
Those are things that she would have already had as her knowledge. And they've established that she's not dumb. I don't know why they make it like she's supposed to be stupid. She's not, you know?
Yeah.
So she picks up on things very quickly.
Yeah. She does.
She
She
does.
does.
So I don't like I don't want to say I don't like the writers are not being consistent
Mm-hmm.
with the situation and with her character. That's another problem I have with this show.
Okay.
Just be consistent. All the other things they could have done without it making it look like Joel taught her absolutely nothing during however long it took for them to walk across the country.
Mm-hmm.
That means he just walked in silence talking about guitars. I mean, is that all he did?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because he was expecting to have what was her name? Tess. He was expecting to have Tess with him,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Tess, she would have basically been a fill-in for Tess. So he would have had to teach her a lot of things that she wouldn't have known on
Mm-hmm.
this road that they were traveling on.
Okay. Yeah.
Especially during the times when there wasn't anything going on.
Right.
And he didn't like talking about personal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna talk about cleaning your gun, making sure the bullets are not wet. You know what I'm saying? Things like that that we see her do.
Yeah, we see her. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. He would have taught her those things.
Yeah.
And now during the patrol, that's something different. So I understand that part.
Yeah.
But and now he was in a safe place. He has a different kind of relationship with her. He wants her to be a child. Enjoy being a kid,
Yeah.
you know. But for her, that's not easy to switch back off when that's not what we were doing. That wasn't the
Yeah.
circumstances of our relationship.
Yeah.
And now you want to be dad and you want to be a kid.
Yeah.
That's not how it's been for a couple of years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I know that was a lot to say, but
It's
you know
fine.
how to go. That's one of the things I do love about you is that you do give writers a lot of credit.
I mean, I try,
You
like
really
I
do.
said, I try to look at things from different perspectives because some things do make sense, some things don't. And when you have characters who behave in certain ways and then all of a sudden they behave in ways that are not characteristic of them, I try to figure out, okay, so what is different? What could be the mindset? Because even with me, there are certain things that I will do consistently, but if there's something that kind of throws that off, I will maybe do something uncharacteristic to kind of compensate for that. So sometimes I look at characters and try to think that too, like, okay, so maybe there's a reason why she doesn't know how to triangulate. I mean, one of the things that they said in that episode when she and Dina were doing all of that, she was like, I'm not schooled well. I wasn't a bookish person. I didn't take to studies well. I'm not that. I don't think she's, you can be smart, but not be book smart. You
Mm-hmm.
can have a lot of common sense. You can be street smart. You could pick up on other things besides what you pick up reading a book. And that was something that she stated very clearly. So I try to take all those things into consideration too. Sometimes reading the map, that's a little bit too much like schoolwork. She might have been like, okay, you know what? As long as I know how to get from A to B, I'm good. But maybe she's never been in a situation where she had to triangulate and try to, figure
Yeah,
out how
I give
an
you that.
army is running and, how they're
I'll give you
moving and
that.
stuff like that.
However,
I,
Fedra was training kid soldiers.
I know.
They were going to spend some time, maybe not triangulating, but reading a map.
Yeah.
That's
Like I
that's
said,
a
I think
that's a
she can
basic
read
thing
a
a
map.
soldier.
I think
I
she can
don't,
just she can
this
you can
version, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
reading a map, figuring out how to get from point A to point B. That's not that hard. Doing the
It's
other stuff, because what Dina was doing was she was following the patterns that the army was going, and she was looking at the map and figuring out, okay, they're avoiding this place, they're not going here, and there's this whole warehouse that's what she was triangulating. Like, okay, so if this
no,
is the route,
I'm fine with that.
so yeah,
It
I'm
seems
just
like
thinking
though.
Ellie just wouldn't know how to do that. She,
I was thinking this Ellie, unless you told her what direction to go, she wouldn't know where to go. You know,
yeah.
so we're asked her, "Do you even know where you're going?" I'll figure it out.
No, she said she was gonna go northwest,
Northwest, right?
but she wasn't telling her like a specific path. So yeah. And I mean, Dina was like, okay, well, and also she's probably been on more patrols, so she would know the safer places to go because Ellie wasn't allowed on patrols up until she turned 19. And then remember, Joe had took her off patrol. So yeah, anyway, we're getting in the weeds. We can just agree to disagree that maybe, I don't know, maybe Ellie might be a little bit more. Okay. Anyway, going back to the whole Ellie and Jesse thing.
So speaking of Jesse, sir, why are we walking around in broad daylight out in the open? I know their forces are probably dealing with other stuff, but you still got to take a little bit of care
Yeah.
when you're moving from. They almost got caught, you
Yeah.
know, standing out in the open,
I was wondering that too. I was like, y'all aren't scaling the walls. Y'all are
or at least
literally
hugging the walls,
right,
or at
right.
least hugging
Yeah,
them.
that's what I meant. That's what I meant to say. But yeah,
Oh,
just like you're just going straight down the street. Like y'all haven't
having
even
a regular
shit.
conversation, talking like no one could be listening. So whatever.
But that's been a complaint that we've had the entire season.
At least they've been consistent.
But
I give them that.
then when they are almost caught, it's because one of the Seraphite kids is being cornered by some of the wolf soldiers. And Jesse and Ellie run into a garage and they hide behind some trash cans and they get to witness this thing. Now, Ellie wants to go and save the Seraphite kid. She's like, no, we're not going to let these people bully, because in her mind, still, she's thinking that the wolves are the bad guys because she's seen um the first set of Seraphites that were killed, and then she's recently seen the ones that were kind of, just kind of dumped up under the wall. So I think in her mind, she's still saying, okay, yeah, we saw this, that the Seraphites strung their soldiers up, but the wolves were doing stuff first. I think that's what she's thinking in her mind. So she's like, okay, we need to go save this kid. And Jesse is like, nope, nope. And he tells her, he said, this is their war. this is not something that we're involved in, I'm not about to die for them. My whole goal is for us to go find Tommy, go get Dina, and get the fuck on. Let them handle their own shit. I need to worry about y'all and what's back home. He was like, yeah, they're going to kill this kid, but that ain't got nothing to do with us. And that's a big, big problem, I think, for Ellie. Because one, like she said, he's a kid. This guy that they stripped him of his clothes and then drug him through the street to take him back to the Wolf headquarters or wherever they're going to go. But then they have this conversation, this big argument, because they realize, they hear on the radio that there's a sniper who is shooting at the wolves, but they realize he's not a Scar. He's not a Seraphite. They're like, he's unidentified. So they automatically assume it's Tommy. They're like,
Okay.
sniper? Oh, yeah.
Okay. So let's step back. Can we go back a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to say, I think I figured out what's happening with Ellie on the show versus Ellie in the video game.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the video game, as a player character, Ellie is a problem. Like Stealth Ellie in the game, 2-3 wolf soldiers, she had taken them out.
Okay.
And you would have been fine. But I think they're trying to characterize her as more of a I don't want to say humanist, but she's more thoughtful,
Okay.
and more sensitive about things.
Okay.
Because Ellie in the game would have been like, Jesse, I'm not getting involved in that because we have a task we need to accomplish.
Oh,
Right.
okay. Okay.
So, or as a player, you might decide, I don't want that to happen. I could go over there, kill them, and help the Seraphite kid go. Right. So you can make that decision. You can make that choice. Okay. That wouldn't have been a problem. And Jesse would just have to go along with you.
Okay. Okay.
Or whatever. But I think it seems like a lot of the things that's been happening with Ellie, her decisions, the way she's acting, is making her more human.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of that has to do with something Gail said. Is that her name, Gail? When she was talking to Tommy at the softball field, she said, she is on the path. It's not a path that Joel set her on. She's on her own path. Mm-hmm. And that path is, like I said, it's about breaking this cycle of violence.
Right.
Right. And so instead of getting her there at the end, we're seeing her fighting against it this whole time.
Okay.
Everything she's doing is trying to break away from what we would think Joel would have instilled in her. So she's making her own choices, her own decisions.
Okay.
And when I look at it from that perspective, a lot of the stuff that she does and the decisions she makes, they do kind of make sense.
Okay.
It kind of works. Because if you want to make her more human, because even Jesse, you may think he is, but he's being very cold and calculated about what they're supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. Right? He has an objective. What's going on here, that kid, that has nothing to do with what they're doing.
Yeah.
Her on the other hand, she's like, no, we need to do something about this because we just can't let them kill this kid.
Right.
It doesn't matter that he's a Seraphite. It doesn't matter that they're wolves. As a person, as a human being, we should not be letting that happen.
Right.
Right. And when you take that perspective and look back on the whole season, a lot of the things she does kind of make sense from that perspective. She's more human. She's more emotional. She's more feeling and caring or whatever. I just wanted to say that before we got into Tommy being a menace. Pinning down all these trained soldiers with his one rifle.
Right. But also, just going back to what you were just saying, if you think about the way that Jesse kind of views things, it's almost like it's a us versus them type thing. And in a lot of ways, I think he's like Joel in that sense. If you think about Joel, that last time we saw him with Maria when they were bringing in the refugees, he was like, yeah, we might need to stop doing that. Like we can't take care of other people if we can't take care of our own. If our resources are depleted, we don't have and we don't have enough to feed our own people or take care of our own people, shelter our own people. How can we take care of other people? And I think Jesse has a lot of that mindset as well. Jesse's like, you know what? We came into their territory. They got some kind of beef going on. They ain't got shit to do with us. All I care about is my people. And then also, he has the recent knowledge that he's about to be a father. He was like, Dina said she can't die. Not that she doesn't want to die. She can't die. She's
And he
pregnant.
says, he
I
says, I
can't
can't
die.
die either.
I can't die either. I'm about to be a father. So
When he
no,
said
no.
that, when he said that, I knew he was a dead man.
I felt it too, but I was like,
And a lot of it has to do with the community conversation. She's like, fuck communities.
yeah,
This is about human. It's
yeah,
about being people, being
mm-hmm,
human. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
They made me think of The Walking Dead again.
You
All
know
the
what?
different
I was
communities.
just about to say that too. Not just The Walking Dead, but any type of dystopian story that we've heard, because it's always about, okay, well, we need to preserve us. Fuck them other people.
Like Hunger Games.
And that's
Each
what,
district for
yeah.
themselves.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's what contributes to a lot of the conflict, because it's every man or every group for themselves. And then it gets to a point where it's like, oh, well, you guys have the electricity and y'all have a whole town over here. Well, guess what? Maybe we can come and take that from you instead of it being a collaborative thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Ellie says that point blank to him. She was like, you think you're so much better than me because you fight for a community and those are your people and that's who you're protecting. She was like, well, let me tell you something about community. I had to watch my community get beaten to death in front of me while I watched. She was like, so fuck you and your community. I'm gonna go handle this Abby thing. You can go do whatever. And I don't think it had anything to do with the fact that she didn't want to go help Jesse. I don't think it had anything to do with the fact that she didn't want to go help Tommy. In her mind, like she told Jesse, she said, I know what he's capable of. I ain't worried about him.
Right.
I'm not worried about him. But this
Tommy
bitch
gonna be all
over
right.
here, right? But this bitch over here, and she said that she was like, Tommy will want me to go handle that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go do this. And I don't know if I feel like, especially now after watching this episode, I don't know if I feel like that's really what Tommy would have wanted, just because going back to that breaking generational curses and breaking those curses. I know I've been saying I want to see that version of Tommy the whole season. I'm like, yes, I need to see the Tommy that we talked about at the beginning of the show, where he was like, yeah, me and my brother, we did some bad things. I want to see that Tommy. But at the same time, the Tommy that we saw at the end of the episode, because yes, we finally did get to see Tommy, but he, when everything happened, he basically looked at Ellie and was like, are you going to be able to make your peace with the fact that Abby is still alive? Because we need to go home. That was his. And
Okay, so let's talk about internal consistency of characters.
okay,
Okay.
okay. Mm-hmm.
Tommy, you off trying to find Ellie, you
Mm-hmm.
know, you looking around, you sneaking around, being all stealthy. Oh, let me pull out my sniper rifle and start shooting people. I would like to see what caused that to happen.
Yeah, yeah,
Because if he's sniping, that means he's at a distance.
yeah.
That doesn't sound like he's looking for Ellie.
Or
And you're gonna give the
depending on
writers a
where.
lot of credit.
No,
You're
no,
gonna
no. Because I was gonna say depending on where, because I don't remember what location he was at. But if the wolves that he saw were getting too close to the theater, like maybe he had eyes on the theater and he knew Dina was in there. Maybe he's like, okay, let me keep them away from there. Or he could have been.
no, wait. Why would now they all of a sudden they want to be heading towards the theater? They got shit going on the perimeter with this with the Seraphites.
Well, I mean, we don't know because they could be patrolling. I mean, we did say that was weird that no one was patrolling that area, that no one came and checked the theater, especially considering you had that whole horde of clickers in that subway station and you had people down there. Like, you didn't send people to come and look and
Yeah,
see.
let's not talk about that because they don't want to talk about it. All right, you had a whole squad go missing, and you
Right.
didn't bother to go figure out what happened.
Okay.
Just saying. So
Okay. So
because when
yes,
that
okay.
squad
Then
got
if
down
we
there, because we were gonna go back when the squad got down there, what did they say? I thought this area was clear.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
All right.
But y'all went, but they went missing. So okay, okay, okay. I'm
But
gonna stop
I'm
giving the
just,
writers
I
credit.
will, I'm
I'm gonna
sure
stop.
we will see what prompted Tommy to start popping heads.
Yeah,
But we'll see because
because
it's
he had to
possible.
have come into contact with someone. I mean, because Jesse went looking for Dina and Ellie, and of course they run into the Seraphites. So I don't know. Maybe Tommy, maybe they saw Tommy and mistook him for a Scar, and he was able to get away and decided, oh, okay, let me go up here and handle this. Because also, if he's sniping, that means he's lying in wait for someone. It's not like he just took up a position and was like, okay, no, he was doing that for a specific reason.
There are reasons.
Okay, don't tell me. Don't tell me. We'll get to, because I do have questions. We'll get to that towards the end of
I
the
mean,
thing.
I'm
But
being facetious
I
about him
know,
just starting to snipe at people, but there's reasons.
I know, I know you're being facetious. I know.
All of a sudden, you just want to start popping heads. Okay, sir.
It
You know.
might not be all of a sudden. But anyway, so when Ellie and Jesse when they have their little argument and they go their separate ways because Ellie has figured out um what Nora was talking about when she's telling Dina about what happened. She said Nora only said two words. She said wheel and well, and I don't know what that means. So when they're up in this building and they're trying to figure out where Tommy is, she happens to see a Ferris wheel way off in the distance, way off on the coast. And then she was like, "Oh, that's what Nora was talking about. She's at the aquarium. You know, the Ferris wheel, whales, whatever." And Jesse's looking at her like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, we supposed to be looking for Tommy. What are you talking about? But Ellie again focused. And one of the things that I thought about watching this episode, especially with everything that Ellie goes through, because they have the argument. Jesse goes his way, she goes hers. She comes down to the dock at night. She sees Isaac and his people. We're going to talk about Isaac in a little bit. She sees him and his people loading stuff on boats in the dark. There's a storm going on, so the water is choppy. They go in one direction. She gets in a boat. She goes towards the aquarium. She gets knocked over by a huge wave. Then she finds herself on the shore. She gets captured by the Seraphites. They get ready to hang her and gut her, and then something is going on that calls them off, and they leave her there. I was like, Ellie, pay attention to the signs, sweetheart, because instead of when you get back to the shore, you get in the boat and you continue on. I'm like,
You
baby,
keep going.
something keeps trying to kill you. Something is telling you this is not the path you should be on. That's really how I felt about it. Like you've been washed over in the boat. You could have drowned. You got hung by the Seraphites. They were about to gut you. But because of an alarm going on from what they said was their village, they let you go. You got another chance at life. Take the boat, go back, go home, go home. She keeps going. She gets to the aquarium. And the other thing again with her, you don't know who's at this aquarium. You don't know how many people are there.
And you turn
And you
your flashlight
steady got
on.
that flashlight on
Flashlight, they're flashing their light everywhere. Mm-hmm.
everywhere.
Everywhere.
I was like, what? And I understand she needs to see, she needs to be able to see what's going on, but you trying to sneak up on people with your flashlight. And it's a bright flashlight. But anyway, she goes through the aquarium. She finally hears voices. She turns the flashlight off. And it happens to be Owen and Mel. And they're arguing because what we find out earlier in the episode from Isaac is that Abby is supposed to be helping him to lead whatever battle they're about to do, because he's not expecting to live. He's not expecting, oh, girl from the 2 episodes ago, the one whose son went down. He's not
Mm-hmm.
expecting her to live. He's expecting Abby to take over and lead if they die. But Abby and
Her crew
her whole crew have
disappeared.
not shown up. They don't know where they are. So you hear Owen and Mel arguing because Owen is like, yeah, Abby is such and such. I'm gonna go find her. We gotta go because it's Abby. And Mel is like, well, I'm not gonna go because it's Abby.
Because it's
So
Abby.
obviously, and I think we discussed this, we were like, okay, Owen seems to be like Abby's right hand person. That's the person who she's probably going to be able to count on out of all of those people. Mel, I felt like, was going to be the least likely because she was the one who had the problems with what Abby was doing. So you kind of see that here. And Owen has this whole thing. Okay, well, I'm going to go get her and we're going to come back to such and such. And if you're there, you go with us. And if you're not, you're just not. And I was just like, oh, I need to know what this dynamic is, because she was basically like, fuck you, Owen. And then, of course, she gets ready to walk off and she sees Ellie. Ellie has the gun trained on them. And they're sitting there and she's telling them, hey, where's Abby? And Owen happens to look at her and he was like, I saved your life. Don't forget that. And I felt like Ellie should have been like, Abby, like, what life? You saved me for what? Okay, you saved me so I could come in and get y'all. And he and Mel are having a conversation because he tells her she's just going to kill us once we tell her where Abby is. And Ellie says, I'm not, because I'm not like you. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, she really didn't kill Nora, but I don't know if I felt like she would leave, she would let them live.
I think she
But I
would
was
have.
like, okay, she says she's not like them. And I feel like you said, she's trying to break that cycle. All she wanted was the map because they had just been talking about where Abby was and how they were going to go get her. All she wanted was the map. She said, give me the map and I'll let you two live. Owen has to try his luck and tries to go for a gun and tries to shoot her, and she ends up shooting him, and she got him right there in the middle of his neck.
Mm-hmm.
He falls. Mel turns to look at the locker behind her because the bullet is in the locker. Then she turns around and you see that the bullet sliced her neck. She falls down. And then she tells Ellie, she starts messing around with, you think it's her belt, and she says, you're going to take it out. And I was like, take what out? The bullet is not in her neck. Then she reveals that she's fucking pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, ain't this a bitch? And she's trying to get Ellie to cut out her baby before the baby dies and
He
before she.
wants her to do a C-section. And Ellie's gonna do it. Tell me what to do. You have to make an incision. And then she then gone into medical terminology. Okay,
Right,
where? Traverse.
right.
How deep?
And Ellie is like,
Deeper
I don't
than
know
you
what that
think.
means. I don't know what
What,
that
what are
means.
you talking about? Yeah.
And it's so sad because Ellie, I don't, like you said, I don't think she went there with the intention to kill them, not them. She only wants Abby. She only
Mm-hmm.
wants Abby. And the fact that Owen, I guess it is what it is. He didn't think she was gonna let him live. He doesn't know her. All he knows about her is, oh yeah, this is the girl that we held down while we killed old boy. Okay. But the fact that she couldn't save that baby before Mel died, you see how much that haunts her. That hurts her because, again, we just found out Dina's pregnant. This could be Dina in any situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really hits her. And her being so as far along as she was, that means she was pregnant when all that stuff happened with Joel.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh well, because Abby,
And she
I
was
mean,
in she was in shock though. She was
yeah,
literally frozen in shock.
yeah, because she couldn't do anything. She was like, I don't know what to do. again, she's growing up in a world where that kind of thing isn't normal, or
Yeah.
isn't, doesn't happen very often. And then you're using medical terms. I felt so bad for her. And then of course here comes Tommy and Jesse. They find her and they take her away, and Jesse just looks at Mel because of course Mel dies.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, oh, this is going so bad. This is going so bad because you just went through all that and still know Abby. You don't know where she is. You don't know, like, they don't even take the map with them when they try to get her out, when they try to get
Mm-mm.
Ellie out. So I I guess in a way, for Mel's character, I will say I did feel bad because again, I felt like when all of that stuff was going on with Joel, I don't think she realized Abby meant to do things the way that she ended up doing it. It's one thing to say, oh yeah, he needs to die slow. And you can think, okay, yeah, she's upset, she's mad. That's probably why she's saying that. But for her to have to sit there and witness that and to see Abby do that to Joel, I kind of figured Mel was going to be one of those. We talked about it. We said sometimes situations like that, it will either bond people together or it will push them apart. And I think Mel was the one, probably the only one, who's probably like, she's crazy, fuck her, I'm not doing this. And then again, we see she also had another reason to want to stray away from that type of violence or to stray away from that type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Well,
did feel bad about her dying, especially since it wasn't intentional. Owen, no, I don't
right.
feel bad about him, even though Ellie hadn't planned on killing anybody. I don't feel bad for him. You pulled a gun on her and you tried to shoot her.
Yeah. So since you're not going to play the game, because you're not going to play the game.
I, you know, the type of personality I have. If I get that game and I start playing, I ain't doing shit else with my life.
Well, one, you're not playing it because it's a horror game. You're not going to do the jump scares. You're
Yeah.
not going to do the clickers chasing you. You're not going to, and the stalkers. You're not going to do that.
No.
Um, the scene played out differently in the game,
Mm-hmm.
where she had the gun trained on Owen, and Mel said something to her, and she turned the gun towards Mel. Owen jumped for the gun, and they were fighting over the gun.
Oh.
She shot Owen.
Mm-hmm.
He falls down. While he's falling down, Mel attacks her with a knife.
Ooh.
And then they struggle with the knife, and then, of course, Ellie overpowers her and stabs her in the neck.
Okay.
It wasn't until then she saw that she was pregnant.
Okay.
So I say this to say, again, I think they changed it to show more of this Ellie trying to break the cycle. And this Ellie accidentally kills Mel
Mm-hmm.
versus killing Mel on purpose.
Right. But this male
And
also didn't attack her as well. So
right, she didn't attack her either. But the look on her face, the shock that she had, because she really didn't want to kill them,
mm-hmm.
and it wasn't like she still didn't know Mel was pregnant, but again, it looks like it's accidental and
Mm-hmm.
not on purpose.
Yeah.
But she literally got on top of her and stabs her in the neck in the game. So that was very purposeful.
Well, I mean, if
Yeah.
you're trying to attack me with a knife, then that's what I would do too.
Right. So again, it's trying to show her more human side
Okay.
and not this revenge monster that I wanted to see
Right.
2 episodes ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So how are you feeling about this whole thing?
Well, now that I've accepted that that's what they're trying to do with her,
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with it.
Okay. Okay.
I'm okay with it. I know a lot of fans are probably wanting to see the revenge Ellie,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to realize this is literally not the same Ellie.
I wonder if we're gonna see it now since Jesse's dead. Well, I guess it depends. It depends on how that. Okay, we'll come to that in a little bit. Um, because they do go back to the theater once they have her. She kind of takes her beat and then she comes back. And Tommy is so funny because he looks at Jesse, he looks at her because he knows what that did to Ellie. And then I don't know if he knows that Dina is pregnant, but he senses, okay, you know what? I'm going to go out here and do such and such while y'all have your conversation. And so they have the conversation, and Ellie thanks him for coming back for her. Because again, after they had that fight, Jesse was like, okay, I hope you make it. I'm going to go find Tommy. And he tells him, how do you know I came back because I wanted to? I could have came back because Tommy forced me to. And she says, is that what happened? And he takes a beat before he says, no. And he
And then
tells,
he says, because I know if it was me, you'd have burned the world down to save me.
yep. And she said, I
Yeah.
would.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I feel like that was the start of them reconciling. And then, of course, they hear a commotion coming from the lobby. They run towards the sound. And like we said, Jesse just bursts through the door and immediately gets shot in the face. Like, and
In the face.
they show us his face, his eyes are open, the bullet wound has gone right in his cheek. So there's no chance that he's alive.
It was funny. You texted me. They didn't have to shoot him in the face,
They
though.
didn't have to shoot him in the face. They didn't have to shoot him at all, but I mean, I'm actually not surprised. Like you said, one, why would you burst through the door like that when you know there's a commotion going on? You know that there's something going on. And I get it. He was probably worried about Tommy, not thinking about that. Probably worried about Dina, even though Dina is upstairs sleeping. Whoever is in the lobby may not have known that Dina was there. But again, they didn't know how many people were in the lobby with Tommy. That could have been why he got overpowered. Because again, like you said, how the hell did Abby get in? Where did she come from? They had the front door barricaded.
And how
So
did she get Tommy on the floor without shooting him in the leg?
I don't know. But again, this is a person who has been trained by militia. She probably has a little stealth of her own. And she also has rage because she just found her friends dead. I don't even know if she knows about Nora. I would assume so because
If
the
she went
people,
looking for her and can't find her, then she
yeah, and
knows.
then the
Yeah.
soldiers who were chasing Ellie, they were probably like, yeah, so Nora ran down there. We're not going down there. We're just
I'm
gonna
not going down there.
yeah, we're just gonna automatically assume she's dead, and maybe they assumed Ellie was dead as well because they didn't know who that was chasing her, so they could have made assumptions.
It's possible Abby could have tracked Tommy to the theater.
That's possible too, especially since Tommy was a sniper.
Mm-hmm. And
She may
she could
she
have
may
thought
have
that
seen
was the person that killed her friends was the sniper.
yeah she probably also maybe saw him go to the aquarium, him and
Mm-hmm.
Jesse. um I mean, we don't know. But obviously
We won't know until next season
we
how
won't
she.
know until next season. But anyway, like we said, they come out. She shoots Jesse. Ellie gets up under the thing, and she tries. She pleads with her. She was like, "Stop, stop, just let him go. I'm the one that you want." And then when Abby realizes who it is, she was like, "You." And she said, "Look, I'm the one you want. Joe killed your father to save me. I'm the one you want. Just let him go and I'll come with you." And she looks at Ellie and she says, "But I let you go and you wasted it." And I'm sitting here watching this saying, didn't Joel say the same thing to
He said the
you
same thing.
before you shot him and beat him to death? He saved your life from hundreds of clickers. But you didn't think that was worthy enough for you to spare him. So why would you expect Ellie to spare any of your friends' lives when y'all pinned her down and made her watch? But she says that. She holds her gun up to Ellie. Ellie is like, no, no, no. And we fade to black with a gunshot. And then we see Abby on the couch waking up. Manny is coming in there telling her, hey, Isaac wants to talk to us. And then you see her go out and she's living in a stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And they have transformed the stadium. Is similar to what they did in season, I want to say season 4 of Fear the Walking Dead,
Mm-hmm.
because they did the same thing. They had gardens growing. They used the suites as living quarters, but they had a lot of shit in that stadium. And then you see it at the bottom, it says Seattle Day 1. So of course next season we're going to get Seattle Day 1, 2, and 3 from Abby's point of view, which will be interesting. But again, um I have thoughts because I don't know what happens at the end of the game. I don't know if she actually kills Ellie. I don't know if Ellie kills her, because again, now they seem to be deviating from the game in the way that Ellie is handling things.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if she shot Ellie or not. I personally feel like Dina might have woken up and heard all of the commotion going on. And they're not leaving Dina without a gun. Even though she can't move, they're going to leave her with a gun to protect herself in case something happens.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dina was on that landing, and I think she may have shot Abby. Now, whether she shot her to kill her or whether she just shot her, like maybe in the hand to disarm her, or shot her to injure her so that Ellie and Tommy can kind of, I
I
don't know,
think
but
it's
I
I
feel
think
like
it's
Dina shot
safe
her.
to assume she shot. I assume it's safer to assume she shot at her because she probably didn't process fast enough to make any specific decision about where to shoot her.
Who, you mean
Does that
Dina
make sense?
shooting Abby
Yeah,
or Abby shooting at Ellie?
Dina shooting Abby.
Okay. No, you know what?
She wouldn't have been like trying to aim at her hand or shoot her gun. Nah, she aimed for center mass and pulled the trigger because that's what they teach you.
Yeah. And I was going
Now
to
she could have
say,
been off a little bit in any one direction, but you know, she's we'll
because
see.
we
I
don't know
because
how good a
Michelle and
shot
I,
she is.
right? Michelle and I both assumed that that was Dina because they're not going to kill Ellie,
I mean, they killed
but
Joe, but
they're not going to kill, and they're not going to kill Abby either, probably.
yeah. But I have a feeling
But
like,
she's going to be injured. She's
yeah,
going to be injured. She's going to get up, realize she's outnumbered, and run.
I don't,
That's what's going to happen.
okay.
That's my prediction.
Okay. Because I feel like if Dina heard the commotion, or even if she didn't hear the commotion, she most definitely heard that gunshot.
Mm-hmm. The gunshot would have woken her up.
The one gunshot would have woken her up. She would have realized something was going on. She would have came to the thing. Now, depending on how the visibility is, she would have seen Tommy on the floor being held at gunpoint. She also would have seen Jesse dead.
Jesse's face blown off. Jesse's dead. Would have seen his face blown off. And she would have been emotional. She would have
Uh-huh.
just pulled the trigger.
And
She would have
yeah,
been
especially once she realized Abby is about to kill the only other person in that room that she loves.
she
So
would she wouldn't have processed anything after seeing
Jesse.
Jesse dead. She would have saw Abby, wouldn't know who she was, just saw that she
Oh,
was
she
holding
saw
a
that
gun,
braid. She knew who. She definitely would have known who it was. She saw the
and she would have
braid.
pulled the trigger. And she pointed at it and pulled the trigger. She
Yeah,
didn't process anything else other than I'm shooting at that person right
that
there.
bitch.
Yeah.
Mm.
Now the second shot, she would have aimed for a head or something if she had a second shot, or continue to shoot at her as she ran.
But you know what? I kind of
It's
feel
all
like
speculation.
she would have shot her the once. I don't think she would have shot at her to kill her, because even if she is emotional, even if she's pissed, I really feel like she would have had enough presence of mind to say Ellie should get that kill.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, she can. There's no way she would have saw Jesse and processed that much before
Mm,
pulling the
okay.
trigger. No possible way.
Okay.
She
Okay.
would have saw him dead, Tommy possibly dead, and that person standing over Tommy, I'm shooting. Period.
Yeah.
She's not going to process. Oh, let me let me wing her so Ellie can kill her. No, because Ellie don't have no gun. She got a gun pointed at her.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Because she did throw the gun. She did.
She's not going to process. We can process a lot, but the emotional state that she would have been in, and plus having just woken up
Yeah.
and probably a little groggy from pain meds,
Oh no, that well, if she had pain
if
meds,
she
because
had
I think
pain
she
meds.
had alcohol, which she didn't drink. I don't think they would have had pain
No,
meds, but I think the gunshot would have woken her up. She probably would have had enough adrenaline going on because now all of a
yeah,
sudden, like, okay, there's a gunshot. That means somebody is in here. There's somebody's in danger. I think she would have been on high alert.
but she wouldn't have been able to process. Let me save her for Ellie. No, it would have been. I need to shoot this person now. Period.
Yeah. I am curious to see everything from Abby's point of view. Okay, so this is the thing I am going to ask you. It's going to be a little bit spoilery, but I need some clarification because I think I misunderstood something you said a few episodes ago when you were talking about Tommy in the game. From Abby's point of view, you keep saying that he is Abby's monster, and I think I listened to that and thought that he was going to be working for Abby, not knowing who Abby was.
Oh,
But no, you mean he's
oh,
going to be the one going after Abby this time.
something like that.
Okay, okay, okay.
You know how in video games you have many bosses and a boss. You
Mm-hmm.
have boss fights.
Mm-hmm.
He would be like a boss fight.
Okay, okay. Because I think when you said it a couple of episodes
I
ago,
said mini boss. And
I
you
think you
probably was
did, but we
thinking,
were talking about Abby, so I think I associated that in my mind, like Abby was the big boss and he was working under her,
yeah.
not knowing who she was. Like maybe he was trying to get information or
Mm-mm.
doing so. Okay, so I completely misunderstood that. So he's going to be a problem. I see your screen name. He's going to be a problem for the Wolves.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Remember, he's sniping at them and pinning them
Okay.
down. This
That this is the
poor
Tommy that I want to
country
see.
boy.
This is the Tommy that I want to see.
And
So
he walked away apparently unscathed.
oh, even more so. This
Because
is the
Jesse
Tommy that I
Jesse
want.
walks up and Jesse's like, "Hey, you ready to go? Yeah, I think I'm pretty good. I think I killed maybe 100 of them. We can go now." No, I'm just making that up. But that could have been that conversation because
Mm,
he and Jesse just walk away, right?
okay.
Because on the radio they say he's got his pin down.
Mhm.
We can't get to him. We've
Yeah.
got casualties, multiple.
I'm
Pow,
I'm
pow,
ready to see that
pow.
version of Tommy. And I hate, well, no, I don't hate to say it. If Abby does happen to get away from this situation at the theater, like you said, if Dina just injures her and she realizes she's outnumbered and she leaves, at that point, I want to see Ellie go full revenge mode. I want her to be like, okay, you know what? Fuck this break the cycle thing. I'll break the cycle after she's dead. That's kind of where I am right now.
That's where you
So
are.
yes, because and I realize that's dark. I do have some dark in me that like that there is nothing that would bring me greater pleasure right now. And again, I understand why Abby did what she did. I understand her anger. I understand all this stuff. But again, y'all were about to take this girl's life. I know Abby didn't have anything to do with that, but your dad was about to take this girl's life. And like you said, when Joel said, just let her go, I think the doctor did say I can't do that or some
He
bullshit
did.
like
He said, I
that.
can't. He said, I can't do that. And then he started going towards her with the knife. Like
Yeah,
the
so
scalpel. Like really, dude.
it is what it is. You know, I mean, I hate it for everybody else because we don't know if there are any other doctors who may have been able to do that, but we also don't know if he was actually able to do that. You know, like we said, Ellie could have very well been sacrificing her life for nothing. He could have gotten there and been like, oops, I made a mistake, or oops, I can't do this, or oops, this is not working out the way I thought it was going to work out. He could have, it could have gone wrong. We will never know, but at this point, it's going to be it's a cycle
Mm-hmm.
because you have Joel saving Ellie, and then Abby going after Joel, and now Ellie is going after Abby because of what she did to Joel, and it's just gonna keep going and keep going. And at I mean, I'm sure at some point Manny is next. Manny is probably going to be the first person to die, in season 3 because it's just him and Abby left from that group, and
Well,
he's
Abby says he killed all my friends.
oh oh, and when we saw Manny in the end, that was day 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, but I mean, again, Manny put Ellie in the hospital for 3 months. So I love you, Danny Ramirez, but you got to go. You got to go. Everybody else is dead. All of the lesser, um, the smaller threats, I guess you could say, they're gone. I mean, Owen and Mel were accidents. Nora, I'm sorry, Nora got what she deserved. She was the one that was sitting with her knee in Ellie's back, and she got what was coming to her. Oh well, whatever. Now, I don't think this will be the last we see of those characters because if we're shifting the story to Abby's point of view for those 3 days in Seattle,
We're gonna
then
see
I'm
all of them.
sure we're going to see all of them, and we're going to see what caused whatever this small rift between Owen and Mel at the end having to do with whatever it was they were supposed to do.
Did you
But
see the
also,
bruise? Did you
I
see the
did.
bruise on Abby's neck? How she get away? Because that's gonna be a story.
Yeah. She got caught by the Seraphites. But
Mm-hmm.
that's the other thing. So we did see Isaac again in this episode, and he is planning something having to do with this war. And like I said earlier, we saw him and his people putting stuff on boats, and they were going to another side of the island. There's something happening with the Seraphite village when they're trying to kill Ellie. And when when she gets herself to the boat and is headed towards the aquarium, she sees an explosion in the forest. So I'm assuming Isaac and his people, they blew up the Seraphite village,
Yeah, they were loading bombs on those boats.
which is
Yeah.
about to escalate things to a whole different level
Mm-hmm.
if there are any Seraphites left. But yeah.
I'm looking forward to next season. I'm really looking forward to seeing Abby's perspective. Day one, two,
Yeah,
and
me too. And I want to see what Tommy is up to. I need to see that. Yeah, I want to see what caused him
that,
to pin them
what
down.
was
Like
yeah, what was day three? That day three must have been hell for
it
everybody.
must have been hell for everybody.
He freaked them all out. They didn't know the Seraphites using guns now. You know, they know
Right?
what was going
No,
on.
because they said he's not a scar.
I know,
He's unidentified or
unidentified something.
mhm.
Yeah,
So they knew he wasn't a Seraphite. So I don't know. But the problem is, how long are we going to have to wait for season 3? That's going to be the main thing. I don't know
I
because I don't think
wonder.
they've.
I wonder if they filmed everything together. I wonder if they filmed it all.
Mm, I don't think I've heard anything to that effect.
I
So
haven't either, but it would make sense if they did.
yeah, let's hope. Because if that's the case, that means they could be either in post production now, or they could be like maybe filming the last part of season 3. I don't know how
Mhm.
many episodes season 3 is going to have, but hopefully they won't go any lower than what they did with this one. They did 7 this season. We had 8 last season.
It's gonna
So
be 6.
and let's not do that. Let's
It's gonna be
stick with
6.
7 or 8 again.
No,
Especially
it's not.
if you're not using,
Because season 1 was 8.
yeah,
This season was 7.
yeah.
Next season be 6.
No, let's do 7.
2
You're,
episodes per day. Yep.
but then we got to see what's going to happen after day 3. We
That'll
got to
be
see.
it'll be 2 episodes of day 3.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Convergence will be probably episode 6 of season 3.
Okay. That can work.
Maybe the beginning of that episode will be the end of this season finale.
Okay. So we don't know if they're doing a season 4. So most likely they will wrap up either in season 3 or if they get renewed for season 4, because I do remember them saying that they were not going to extend the show past what the game does. So
Right.
they're not going
But
to add new story. They're not going to add, any of that.
leaks have come out about The Last of Us 3, the game.
Oh, is
Leaks have
there?
come out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know how valid the leaks are or how certain people are, but there's rumors that there's going to be a Last of Us 3.
Okay.
And it's going to be Ellie is evolved.
Okay.
And it's going to be about some new characters stuck in a manor house.
Oh, okay.
That's all the leak was.
Okay. Okay.
Or the leak that I read.
Okay.
No confirmation. Just a leak in a
Rumor.
room.
Okay. Okay. Um, so how are we feeling about season 2 overall? Because I know you struggled with it. You felt like it lagged in a lot of places.
It was up and down and very much like Wheel of Time.
Mm-hmm.
There was a moment when I realized that you can't make this Ellie, you can't compare this Ellie with the game Ellie because they're very different.
Okay.
And once you realize that this is really about breaking, it's really obvious now
Mm-hmm.
about breaking the cycle of violence
Okay.
that she's trying to get
Yeah.
away from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And going back to what Gail said, she's not on the path that Joel put her on.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't put her on this path.
Yeah.
She's on a whole separate path of her own.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you look at it like that, it makes sense. And actually, in retrospect, this is it's really not that bad of a season.
Okay.
I mean, there's some things I can nitpick about, just internal consistency of the characters.
Right. Right.
Some of the choices the characters made.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just once you get past that, it actually wasn't bad.
Okay.
The last few episodes kind of made up for it.
Okay. Okay. Cool. All right.
What
Yeah,
about you?
I actually I enjoyed it. And I think because I can look at it from a perspective of not having expectations from the video game, I can probably enjoy it a little bit more because I'm not constantly comparing. So there were things I think they did very well this season. Again, I think episode 6 was my favorite out of the whole season, if not the entire show. Just that little background of Ellie and Joel's relationship and how it hit its peak, and then kind of how things deteriorated from there. Just the emotion and everything with those characters. I loved that episode. I feel like we were just getting to know Jesse and then we lost him. So I'm a little bit sad about that fact. But again, I think we talked about it a few episodes ago. I was expecting either him or Dina to die. I'm glad it wasn't Dina, but I am sad that it is Jesse, because I think if his character had stuck around a little bit more, I would have liked his character even more. But he wasn't one of those characters where I was like, I don't care. I loved his character and I'm sad to see him go. But yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed this season, and I hope we don't have to wait too long for season 3. So, but there will be other opportunities to talk about this show. We will be doing a Last of Us panel at ATL Comic Convention, which is I think the third weekend in July.
Mm-hmm.
So we are doing that panel. I will actually be appearing on another podcast this week, the MCU's Bleeding Edge podcast, to talk about The Last of Us. So that will come up. And then we are going to try to record our season 2 gamer episode at the like we did last season. What we did was we have a few gamer friends who have played the games and also watched the show. So that particular episode will focus on comparisons between the game and the show and how people like it. So we're going to try to have the same people on from last season for this season. We'll try to record that next week. And then we will be taking an extended hiatus because I will be going on a cruise to celebrate my 50th birthday. I think Anthony and Michelle are going out of town for a little bit. And then Mike is still recovering from his surgery. So by the time I get back from my cruise, everyone should be present and able to record. So we are going to finish out with our final Wheel of Time episodes because that show got canceled. So we'll do the last 3 episodes for those. And I think we're going to do a second Thunderbolts episode now that Mike will be back so we can get his
Yes.
and then we'll be talking about some other shows. Ironheart is getting ready to come out. We'll cover that. And then, like I said, we have ATL Comic Convention that is coming up. Dragon Con is coming up. So we got to do some prep for that. Michelle and I will be talking about Blood of My Blood, which is the Outlander prequel. It premieres in early August. So that's kind of where our summer is going. So for now, that's it for The Last of Us. And that is it for our show. You can find us online at www.fandomhybrid.com. We are on social media, on all the social media at Fandom Hybrid. You can chat with us on our Discord channel. You can watch our videos on our YouTube channel. And you can listen to us on all major podcast streaming platforms. Thanks for listening. We hope you join the conversation next time.